Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Have you ever wondered what is possible beyond possible? What is the thing you've been wondering and inquiring about? Are you just feeling stuck and don't know why? Are you thinking or are you seeing? Seeing allows us to expand and have this other experience. We want to invite you for that wake-up call. We want to invite your spirit, your soul, so to be more alive, more connected. Glenn Brooks has been a life coach for over 33 years, author of Divorced to Patterns, Not Each Other, an explorer of what is possible. He has worked with people all around the world. Join us for a wake-up conversation, a dialogue with you. We will have some of the most interesting contributors. We will be talking to some of the most interesting people and have some of the most resourceful teachers, wisdom-filled people from around the world join us. Share your voice, ask the questions, become free of the known into a new world of possibility. We are going to talk about all the things you wonder about: how to live, how to heal, how to connect, how to love, how to be seen. Your life is precious. Enjoy it.
What a miracle breathing is. I'm really happy that you're with us today. I'm Glenn Brooks for the Vibrant Living Network. And this is another opportunity for us to all breathe like the Dalai Lama, because the way we breathe is how we experience life, how we could take in each other. And it leaves this pause. The pause allows us to be received, be noticed, right? So I had a wonderful conversation yesterday with Cherie Marquez about the power of unlearning, the power of unlearning. I'm going to get into that on the Dog Mystic segment upcoming. Dr. Gail Randall is a new breed of physician. She's, in some sense, innovating and bridging worlds with people so they could have a different experience of healing. There's a seminar we're going to co-teach soon. I'm going to get into the seminar a little bit. It's called Your Faith is Your Fortune. Your faith is your fortune. We're going to get into that. And since my friend from the tourism department from Vermont isn't here, I'm going to open with that with you guys, because I want to talk a little bit about the power of the third place and how that transforms our lives and what it means. Cherie Marquez, the dog mystic, you're off on the side of a mountain right now broadcasting. I'm glad you're with us to share us the real mystical things that change our relationship with our dogs and allows this wonderful harmony. And also today you're going to share something really special. It's sort of a little bit of a warning and concern about breeders and about them giving up their puppies too soon and what. So Cherie's going to educate you. Gail's just magnificent, and she could, like Cherie's magnificent too. I didn't mean to make you're magnificent, Cherie. I didn't mean to say you weren't. It came to you know what I mean. I didn't want you to. Yeah, I didn't want you to think later. You said Gail was magnificent. All right, I was just going to say Gail is.
I'm fabulous.
You're fabulous, right? Exactly. You have fabulous super shakes and Boca Raton. I was going to say that, what I love about Dr. Gail Randall, she kind of lives in the sea of constantly referencing new wisdom, because new wisdom is required to fulfill our destiny, and part of our destiny is to grow younger. So we're not just treating an illness. We're actually releasing illness so we could discover who we really are, and part of it is our physical well-being. I mean, it's funny. I was just leaving a message for someone, and the message said that he asked us to repeat the message twice because he's getting older. So I want to ask you guys at the beginning of the show, is aging a bad habit or a reality? I want to inquiring about that with you. All right. I want to welcome you, Dr. Gail Randall.
Thank you. So
hello,
we're
Gail.
Talking about is our good fortune, and I was just tossing around this idea. I actually put something up on Instagram, and people just.
I just want to say, Cherie said hello to you.
Hi, Cherie.
Hi.
I have faith in you too.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to share with you this little saying, sort of affirmation thing that I put up, and
okay.
Almost 265 people loved it. So I put up, faith is trust, faith is hope, faith is God, faith is community, and, of course, faith is our good fortune. We have trust, hope, God, and community and relation. We are very fortunate. We're very rich. So to share that with you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. I mean, I was going to feature Vermont today because Vermont is one of the third places that I discovered faith in. So I grew up in Long Island, and I had a certain sense of culture and people from Long Island. And then one day I had the good fortune to be in Vermont. And I just felt, so when I talk about the power of third place, Vermont was the first place that I went to that I sensed nature, that I sensed the air was different. And it sort of inspired me into a different way of life, a different way of considering life. Like when I went to Vermont, I couldn't wait to drink the water. I couldn't wait to run because I felt like I'd be putting the energy of the air into my being and my body. And also, I part of Vermont was this idea that you could have these conversations, these side-of-the-road conversations. So my relationship with Vermont continued. So as I designed seminars and retreats, I first started designing retreats in the Hamptons, which I loved. It was a very spontaneous meeting. And what I mean by retreats is a third space where people could explore growing young, wise, playful, and move their bodies in a way they hadn't even considered moving them. So I knew that this idea that the culture reflects our movement or lack of it. And I was reading this book by this guy, Thomas Hanna. And one of the things he points out, and this has a lot to do with the power of a third space, and that our faith is our fortune. So I'm honored to be teaching this course with Dr. Gail Randall, and I wanted to share with you the power of getting together in a third space for something is it gives you the space and the relational space to explore something and embody it differently than you're used to. So movement, I know, with Thomas Hanna. So a lot of people think, as an example, that when people grow old, they pull forward or they pull back. So they like an older person. The idea is they're like they're they're a leaning tower. So what Thomas Hanna talked about, which really struck me, was that wasn't true. It's nothing to do with aging. He said it mostly has to do with this, what he called the startle reflex, where people get these mini shocks. So the power of the good fortune. What's the name again of our course? Your faith is your fortune. Sorry, the faith. When I started to go to Vermont, I started to develop faith in nature very differently, and I also started to develop a different relationship with rhythm and movement. And how I got called, my journalists, the journalists around the country started to call me the man that gets paid to go on vacation. And what was interesting about that was I realized that I was different in different environments, and I also enjoyed designing environments. So your faith is your fortune is something that I started to read about many, many years ago. And I'm gonna give you guys a secret sequence, and then we're going to run it by Gail to see what she says, because she's had a ton of experience with people healing and coming in to change their faith, their relationship to faith. So I'm watching the U.S. Open with Guillermo Vilas, who was in the top 10. He was in the top 10 for like 20 years. He was the number one player in the late 70s. And I saw myself on this tennis court with him, and I didn't tell anybody. See, what happens is when you have this faith, sometimes other people, they want to give you a fact check. They'll tell you you're too old. They'll tell you some linear order of thinking that's outside the faith. And so, for instance, they'll just tell you things. I get into this in my book, by the way. It's called Unscripted Power. So I saw this happen with Vilas. I saw me training, because what I really wanted to do, and I want to ask you guys this: if you could really put part of your life energy in something, what would you like to put it into? And I felt like by being on the tennis court, it'd be this wondrous thing. I'd seen Vilas at the U.S. Open many times, and I felt this bond with him that was unexplainable. Now, what happens sometimes is when we explain things to people outside of what I call a closed class or a certain environment, other people don't believe it. And what we teach people when your faith is your fortune is we want to stand up for the other person. We want to stand for them. So in a sense, they could share with us this place that's more sacred or secret, and we could kind of stand with them with that. We could hold that in consciousness. Like as an example, I heard about this great acupuncturist, Jim Worsley, and someone said the way he makes rounds when he goes to see patients is he cracks the door open, and he would see something. And people always thought, some of the other acupuncturists thought, what would he say? And Jim Worsley would say things like, I see that person playing the fiddle. I see that person, singing. I see this person dancing in Central Park. Basically, in seconds, he could see what that person was from your faith is your fortune. So there's two ways to see people. Or one way is we see people from this faith is your fortune. And then the other alternative a lot of us defer to is a graven image. The graven image is not who they are. So this class on your faith is a fortune, we're going to give you specific relational imagery exercises and kind of a foundation. Then you're going to have a practice partner, and you're going to be able to practice this. So I practiced this exercise that I was on the court with Guillermo Vilas for 30 years. And then there was a moment I knew I had to put together a retreat with him. And of course, I had no idea how to reach him. But it's a long, wild, beautiful story. But basically, I called this tennis pro in Chicago because I knew Guillermo Vilas was going there, and he liked my vision so much that he told me there was a cocktail party that night, and he told me he was going to set up a phone time for me and Vilas to talk. And I talked to Vilas that night. And I want to say what happens. I sent Vilas something about, it was called Inner Edge Tennis. Inner Edge Tennis. We're thinking about changing the name to One Tiger Tennis, which is another whole meeting. But anyway, I talked to Vilas. I sent him something, and he said he loved it so much, and he agreed to do this retreat with me. Now, when you're in your faith is your fortune, you're going to run into all kinds of outside things. Let me just stop and ask you, Dr. Gale. So I had something occur in my life that I had seen and been married to for many years, but I didn't really tell anybody because I knew they would tell me something on the outside that had nothing to do with my faith and my fortune. I want to ask you how you relate to that as a healer and teacher and being a doctor. I want to ask you because your article forthcoming in OMTimes magazine is on dealing with disastrous diagnoses, spells, things that negatively scare the life out of you and how to remove them. Because it's probably one of the most medicinal, wondrous things in the true art of healing and medicine. So, wanted to get your response to anything that I said or something that bubbles to you. Dr. Randall.
Well, when we work with people that come in and they're so devastated by words, really, words which are oftentimes diagnoses placed upon them by other practitioners. I guess there's a way to do that. A lot of times when I give someone, we have to give them their diagnosis, or I'll say, I'm going to write down these words, but I don't want you to be defined by it. I want you to understand that I have to write these down because the insurance company needs to know certain words, and we have to categorize you in a certain way, but it's not really who you are, and it doesn't really predict your future. So, I'm asking them to step forward. I'm asking them to have faith in me. And if a person can have faith or trust, if you will, in their practitioner, if they can have faith in their bodies, their ability to heal, they can have faith in their healing process, they can move above and beyond those words that have casted a spell upon them. And particularly if you have a practitioner such as myself or others who will stand with you in your truth that you are and will be well, and that you have that potential, that everyone has that potential to heal. I believe everyone can heal. Some people get the miraculous cure, but every single person can be healed. And when they have the faith, they have the trust, they feel the love, it sets up the environment, if you will, the energy, so they can receive a complete healing and maybe even a cure. And you've experienced some of that, Glenn, too. Also,
I have.
So
It's an ongoing. I was just thinking. You know what your life's like when. I want to ask you guys this. I want to see if I could ask it well. So when I had this, well, I'll present it with the tennis player, and then I'll get into it, kind of around this healing, or what it means in terms of your faith being your fortune around healing, because it applies to all your life. But as soon as Guillermo Vilas told me he was going to do the retreat, in my universe, I thought it was going to be so easy. I had all these retreats calling us, and like 14 retreats turned us down. But I kept reminding myself, my faith is my fortune. And there's something really beautiful in this. When two people agree, that's the beginning of the miraculous. So when you agree with someone, you begin to form another whole soul and brain harmony, and it changes things. Now, I want to let you know, upcoming, we have the good fortune, since we're talking about good fortune, actually we're going to do a series on brain plasticity and relationship and healing. But one of the world's foremost authorities on brain plasticity. So I'm excited. I just heard that today. So what happened was what happens is there's outside facts and statistics. Outside facts and statistics. So when I had the good fortune of in my journey as a coach, before there was coaching, I was probably one of the first. I don't know. We had very, very few people know what coaching was. But the thing that it really was about was an ongoing inquiry and a question of like what could be, like what could happen. And it was very different it was very, very different. And so for a lot of people, they grew up and, their conditioning was such, they only felt they could do certain things. So the first course I taught as a coach was called How to Create Your Own Career. And people never thought about that. A lot of times it just was something, they thought someone got lucked into a career. But so with this idea of your faith being your fortune, and I want to say on today's show, we didn't get Tom from the Tourism Bureau, but I'm going to be giving away vacations in Vermont. And I'm going to be designing retreats, and we're also going to be filming a film there. So my faith is that without even speaking a word, and I want you guys to play with this, without speaking a word, feel it real. Feel the thing that you desire the most is already yours. It's already yours. Now, when I had this co-experience with Dr. Gail Randall, I had a brief moment of being in separation. Separation was you don't feel that wonderful stream of consciousness, which is beyond your thinking. You ever notice your thinking could be away from anything that you desire. Your thinking could kind of take you away. So when I got really scared, which I did during this particular time, I was just kind of telling my daughter about this yesterday a little bit. I was just saying to her that initially I had this period, but I felt it was someone that I could connect with, that I would have a very inside-out relationship with, that I have a relationship with where the inside of our relationship was much more powerful than the outside. And what I mean by that is that our listening and noticing and seeing for each other would be way beyond any relationship I had with a doctor before. And the doctor was kind of a new breed of physician, which I read a book years ago called The New Breed of Physician. So I met Dr. Gail Randall, and what happened was in our relationship, and I think you said it so well the other day. You were saying, we were having a conversation, Dr. Randall, and you were saying that there's so many things that transform us, renew us. Sometimes it's hard to put your finger on one thing. It's like, some people say, well, it was the probiotic or it was this. But you were saying it's this wonderful, multi-impactful sort of thing. And so I realized in our relationship. So one day I noticed that one of the obstacles to cure was this obstacle that I was just worried. I was just very upset. And then I realized one day I was calling Dr. Gail Randall up, and I realized that right before this meeting, it was the first day that I was driving and I didn't have this particular concern. I had this concern, and then Gail said to me a few times in a very kind of leisurely way. She said something to me that kind of reminded me that I didn't have to worry about that. And it was sort of funny because when you're in worry or you're in thinking, a lot of times it seems like there's no way out of it. And so I think what happened was we had this ohana experience. And the ohana experience is where you breathe together. They call it in the Hawaiian tradition, the family that breathes together. So I guess you could say that your faith is your fortune. And I learned this from my teacher who said to me that when he wasn't married, every night he would hold his wife in his arms. He felt her, he recognized her. And, of course, when he met her at the luncheonette, she had the same experience. And they were married like 40 years. So in this world, we place the faith outside of us but with authority figures and experts. One of the things I love about Dr. Randall is that she's an invert. How's that for a word? You're an invert, Dr. Randall. You know what an invert is?
An invert?
Yeah, you're an invert. Do you know what an invert is?
Spell that.
You're so funny. I would have to defer to Cherie Marquez. Apparently, is a much better spelling, and she's not just a dogma; she's a better speller than me. So it's instead of X. So an expert is an expert externally, correct? That's what an expert. They're an expert external. So an invert, which I just named you to be, is a person that cares about the inner world and how things get shaped and crafted. Like, for instance, nutrition. You're an invert about nutrition. You care about the things that people take internally that changes their whole physiology, spirituality, biology. So I'm calling you an invert today. That will be on your website by tomorrow afternoon, I would assume. Are you going to accept the invert certification?
I would say I care very much about what people take into their bodies, whether it be mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. But, of course, nutrition from the very smallest molecule to just energy, because it all has a neurochemical effect and effect on our overall well-being and health. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're taking the title of being an invert now?
I'll accept that.
You're gonna breathe it in for a little while and let me know.
No, I accept it.
Okay, okay. I love that. I love your flexibility as a human being. I used to work with this guy Michael Goldberg, and he wrote a book called Off the Pedestal. And his big thing was you got to put the doctor off the pedestal. He used to call me, and he was actually I had a series of meeting doctors. One of them was Vita Brown, Dr. Vita Brown. Vita Brown was from Africa, and she was the only person in her ethnic group, the only woman that actually went on to become a doctor. And I used to call Vita the anesthesiologist who woke people up to their health. And sure enough, during the series, which is a profound series on, she did a great tape called "How to Speak to Your Doctor from a Position of Power," and Vita was amazing. So Vita walked me through this experience because I had this heroic leap in the air on a very cold day, 20 below zero, to see my daughter, and I missed the rail and broke my wrist. And I called Vita up, and Vita was the healing holy doctor on the scene. She walked me through this. So I want to send my love to Vita. I haven't talked to her. She used to be in Santa Barbara, by the way, upcoming with Dr. Gloria. Okay, I promised my people today. You're my people, by the way. By the way, I've been playing with this wonderful terminology from Burning Man, which is radical inclusion. As a relational coach, I like this idea of radical inclusion. Radical inclusion. Because I think the culture. You like that? Oh, okay, you got Had you heard that before? Had you heard radical inclusion?
No.
I dug it. All right. Okay, so with Vermont, starting in October, I'll be both giving away vacations. I'll be filming the film with my personal acting coach, Eric Morris. You guys will get to hear from him again. Eric wrote the most famous book on acting called No More Acting, Please. He's brilliant. He's been a relative for over 25 years. He gave me a cell phone and home phone on the first call. We'll be filming the announcement, which tells the story of Gordon Banks and Diana Banks and how they actually married again. And it's the story of the latest love science was that there's no endings really, and that the things that wound us and block us we could actually begin again, and deepen our love. And the response to the announcement is amazing. We'll be holding cast calls in Massachusetts and Vermont. Looks like we're going to go to New York, and cast calls are incredible. the two characters. I think there's four major characters. So I want to tell you, we're going to do that in Vermont. We'll be shooting in other places. We'll be dealing with vibrant chefs from Vermont, and we have our Vibrant Speakers Summit on the way to Carnegie Hall, because we feel Vermont is one of the most replenishing, nurturing places to be. And I'm so excited to bring the Vibrant Living team and be with them. And we do all kinds of cool things together. We do martial arts together. We do acting classes together. So when on the way to Carnegie Hall, we're really learning how to share this heroic story that we never told before at Carnegie Hall with a world-class musician. And Janet didn't come today. Janet's not here. Where are you, Janet? I'm just thinking about Janet Karop. She didn't show up today. So Janet's writing an article for OMTimes magazine on our journey to Carnegie Hall. And so if you guys are interested in speaking at Carnegie Hall, it lights your fire when I share it. You be in touch. I'll give you my direct number, by the way. And as I go to the next segment with Cherie Marquez and still Dr. Gail Randall and you, I'm going to give you this number and say we're expanding our network to about 16 different formats now. We're going to have 16 formats, including Vibrant Food Network, Vibrant Chefs, Vibrant Writing. If you wanted to write a book from your body, from your being, from your relationship, and have a world-class writer be on our team together with you, the Vibrant Writing Network has arrived. All the stuff that maybe you got turned on off at school, or you got confused in a marketing class, we have Vibrant Writing. It's going to be great. We have Vibrant Travel. So if you live like we do and buy into this idea from Mark Twain that true success, true abundance is turning your vocation into your vacation, you're going to love the Vibrant Travel thing. So if you want to be a travel journalist and be with us and have a regular feature and be a speaker, those are some of the things we're opening up to 16 shows, and they're going to go way beyond. And I'm really going to work with you guys as hosts in a way that I don't know anybody else in the world is doing. It's going to be a full body inquiry, a full soul inquiry into expressing your message and building the kind of community, insight connections that's going to amplify your message, and also the ability to have people take a stand for you. And they cover your back, your nervous system, your being, your finance, like a whole different thing. So that's called the Vibrant Living Network. And I guess we're going to come right back with the Dog Mystic. And Vibrant Vermont, upcoming in October. I'll be traveling throughout Vermont. Stay with us. I'm Glenn Brooks, your life precious. Enjoy it.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Conflict comes in many forms and often triggers a fight-or-flight response. Some of us gravitate toward conflict, while many will stop at little to nothing to avoid it. Unfortunately, what we resist will persist, which often forces us to face our fear and deal with it head-on. Join me during my show, Conflict Rising, as I discuss the important role of conflict with leaders who have moved through it successfully. Tune in Thursdays at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is going to help somebody, I'm all for it. I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth. A message from Truth, the Ad Council, and ONDCP.
So I'm Glenn Brooks. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. And if I could hear myself in my headset, I'd be happier. Boy, I wanted to read you something. Is my voice coming out okay right now, Cherie?
Yeah.
Cherie? It's so funny. It's actually...
You sound a little distant, but yes.
Just a second. Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Perfect. I'm going to read a quote from your new book. How's that? I'm going to read your quote from your new book. You ready?
Ready.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Cool. You're always ready. I like that. So the new book is called The Dog Mystic, and it's on being in deep tune with your dog and being in deep tune. So I write this about Cherie Marquez. I met Cherie approximately a year ago. Her advanced awareness about dogs moved and spoke to me deeply. And like many team members on the Vibrant Living team, I felt there was a message here that would transform people's relationship to dogs, harmony, and in some sense give them another whole level of intelligence and a sense of wonder when they adopted a dog, when they were looking for a breed. And I commend Cherie on committed, that commitment to bring this to you. This book, by the way, is very much a book about unlearning and removing obstacles so you could have the kind of harmony with your dog you always dreamed and had that wonder or sense about. So this idea of unlearning is in the book. Like, what are the things, if you didn't do them, would make your whole relationship in your life and your dog differently? So it's a big understanding of the dog and your life, and that was my vision when I had Ben the Rottweiler for a year. Ben was my he was my, I don't know, he clearly was a very powerful teacher. And it went on, and I went to realize that dogs are the mystics of our lives, and oftentimes we don't know how they are. And what we do when we get upset is we have them trained, and we have them commanded upon. And I always felt there was a better way. So here we are with Cherie Marquez. Cherie, we have Ariel, who's an author and a coach, and I've laughed several times together with Ariel now, and he has mentioned. I thought that was a good thing to say, by the way. I like that. Yeah, did you like that? I had laughed several times with Ariel. I thought that was kind of an aloha way of introducing her, by the way. So Ariel shared a concern about a dog that she admires. The dog's 3.5. Welcome, Ariel.
Welcome. Thank you, Glenn. I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Ariel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Cherie. Thank you, Cherie. It's not yet afternoon here in the Southwest, but getting there.
Good morning. Good afternoon to all.
And we got Dr. Gail Randall, who's I don't think in this cycle she has a dog, but she has been an avid dog lover. Now a very, I guess, has a profound relationship with her horse. So she's definitely been in the 4-footed sacred world, Dr. Gail Randall. So what's your
the horse holy dogs. So
what is it called?
They call them holy dogs.
Oh, holy dog.
That's what it means. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because they're both in tune. They're so in tune. Horses and dogs are just in tune to everything that's going on.
It's Shanki Wakan means holy dog.
Okay. Wow.
In Lakota.
So I think what I love about this question that Ariel's going to ask is, in some sense, what she's asking, which is going to be a little bit of a prelude to some of, I think, Cherie's brilliant contribution here about, which is a trend in dog breeds we're going to get into, something we want to warn you about and educate you about. But this is one of the things that people, clearly a lot of people give up their dogs around this sort of thing. So why don't you go and talk to the dog mystic, and so we could hear what this dog mystic Cherie Marquez has to say. So what's your concern, or what's happening with your dog that allows you to laugh and call in today?
Well, my dog, Border Collie, beautiful, beautiful Border Collie, white lace and orangey kind of hair, the same kind of color. I'm not really orangey, but beautiful blonde hair, little reddish. Came to me through my rehome page because I was running the New Mexico Border Collie Rescue website for 9.5 years. As my way of giving back to be able to live in this gorgeous state. And Belvedere, I call him now, he had the name of Simba first, then the people previous to me called him Maverick, I think, yeah. And I renamed him Belvedere. He came to me, he had been 3 times already bounced into the dog shelter, the Pound. He's very exuberant, full of love, full of energy, jumping up on people to give him a kiss, which caused head bumps. Wonderful dog. At 3 years old at the time. He will be almost 4, I guess, soon in the beginning of next year. But anyway, he is wonderful. We have an amazing energy together and lots of love. But he has an issue because apparently he wasn't socialized as a puppy with going out in the world and seeing other dogs and cats. He goes absolutely berserk. His energy level is like past a 10. So I've been working with him just to get the energy down, just in the house and, just try to calm him down. He's really good now with me. He won't jump up on me anymore. But, and I did work with a dog coach, which didn't really do too much. So I'm just interested in how could I tap more into Belvedere's energy and understand the story behind it in order for him to overcome this anxiety. Actually, I think it just manifests in anxiety and excitement when he sees other animals, behind fences or on leashes. That's my question.
There's no aggression. It's just pure excitement and
there is sometimes some aggression, but I feel like there's anxiety behind the aggression. Because there's I have a sense there's some insecurity there.
Okay.
About meeting new dogs, but then there's also so much joy of wanting to communicate and be. And then sometimes he overpowers, he's kind of medium large dog. He may have something else in him than Border Collie. So then he sometimes, overpowers and goes on top of the dog.
So I mean, it's probably just like pure excitement, and that there's so much excitement that it causes an anxiety because he's on the leash and the other dogs are on the leash and he can't get to them. And the dog can be perfect inside the house, but you have to do the work outside. That's where all the distractions are. That's where all the smells are. So the dog can be absolutely perfect inside, but there's not enough stimulation as outside. And as you're walking down the street and everything is nice and calm, once you see the person and the other dog walking towards you, the easiest thing to do instead of walking past them, because when you're walking past them, you can have him on a heel and walking next to you and without pulling and going back and forth. But then as soon as the dog and the person are right next to you, then he's pulling to the left or to the right, just to get to the person or get to the dog, and so excited. Or he becomes like a fucking Bronco and oh my gosh, there's people and dogs, I can't control myself. Yeah. So the easiest thing to do is to, once the person and the dog are 10 feet away, to pull him aside and put him on a sit stay, and sit stay, and then you can also incorporate quiet. Does he bark a lot when he's
Yeah. I mean, he goes berserk already at the first glimpse of somebody else with a dog or a dog, and he goes crazy and starts pulling to the point where he makes complete spectacle of himself and throws himself dramatically on the sidewalk with paws up.
Okay.
So we cannot even yet get to that part of 10 feet away because, the excitement already has happened and the whole spectacle.
So, the work that I've been doing, I've been dog training for 19 years. So, in regards to training, it's the same perspective as a child that wants structure or wants to know the rules. So it's the same thing as a dog psychology and a child psychology are almost exactly the same. So it's giving the dog certain rules to listen to, and especially if he's border collie or even a border collie mix. Border collies are so high energy and they need a job. They need something extra just to give them that extra need of all right, come on, what do you want me to do? Let's go. Let's do this,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe before a walk you can do some commands and just some work with him inside the house. Mm-hmm. And then in front of your house before you even start the walk, because you got to realize that the training is mental stimulation, so it gets him more tired than just walking.
Right.
Because when he's on a walk, it's more or less like, all right, cool, yeah. He's focused and he's looking around, so just to get him into that zone of all right, it's work time. Like, we're gonna enjoy this work and then we're gonna enjoy this walk. But at least if you get some training inside the house, outside, and get him mentally tired, and then once you start your walk, then you have like the physical activity as well. Then even if the person and the dog is 15 feet away, 20 feet away, then you can put him on the sit stay, and then it gives you more time to get him in control on a stay.
Thank you.
The main thing with the sit and the stay when you're working outside is the leash. The leash is your tool. You're in control when that leash is on. So
right. Yeah, and he has a gentle leader harness, and I have actually a nose leader too, but I haven't really yet trained him on that. But, he has the gentle leader with the front clip to kind of help me, actually, because he's very strong. So he is pretty good about doing inside work. I've been training him. I taught him how to sit and how to lay down and how to wait. He loves that. We've done a little bit agility in the backyard, and I've had border collies before where I did the whole agility thing and all the training classes, but this guy needs to first get a little calmer before I can even do a group kind of class with him.
Right.
I just want to take a very brief moment here and identify you're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. We're talking vibrant dogs here. I was going to say Dr. Cherie Marquez, but Cherie Marquez, the dog mystic, the author and seminar leader, being in deep tune with your dog. And so I want to say what happened was Dr. Gail Randall mentioned something, and I just wanted to respond to it. I just want to take it. We're teaching this course. It's called Your Faith is Your Fortune. Your Faith is Your Fortune. And we have Your Faith is Your Fortune for couples, and then we do it for groups. And so I want to. This has to do with dogs too, actually. So what happened was, I just realized. So I'm going to say this. That I want you to comment, Gail and Cherie, Ariella. So what happens is fear and thinking along with self-image, begin to pollute our perception of reality. So, if you could say that miracles are natural to us, they become unnatural when we have an identity when we get disconnected. We have an identity that we're fearful or disconnected. So actually, what happened last night, funny enough, you should bring this up, Dr. Randall. I was driving back from a retreat center, and I was in a very dark part of the forest. I was in a road that goes probably 7 miles through the heart of the forest. In that morning, there was this guy who was talking about losing his eyesight, and he was saying the first thing was he couldn't see the stars, and it was a very starry night. And what I did is I went into deep appreciation. I stopped my car in the middle of the forest, and I just took a moment to appreciate the stars and to the experience of that. So the feel of something, the feel of healing, the feel of fulfillment is what we call feeling it real. So feeling it real is when you feel a deficiency, you feel connected to the fulfillment of the prosperity. And so what happened in my relationship with Dr. Gil Randall is what I would call purification. So purification is a prerequisite for experiencing this other aspect called the miraculous, right? So if faith is your fortune, one thing is to be able to start breathing again with other people. Allow your natural respiration. Exhale. And we have you pick a partner, and you start to really get in tune with living your life from this perspective. And I realized what I was going to say in the Kabbalah, an aspect of the Kabbalah, how it teaches that our bodies grow old is through fear. We have emergency responses, and that changes our chemistry. So this is a course of fulfilling, your faith is your fortune. It's beginning to feel the feeling of what you deeply would like in this lifetime, that will bring you to the level, and then extending that to someone else. So this is where the exemplifier part comes in. So if someone else wants something, you feel it in your heart as if they have it. So you start to change the brain and the soul dynamics in a very practical way. So this is our upcoming course, and I'm also willing to come to L.A. I haven't flown in a while and teach this to Dr. Randall because, as a teacher said to me once, he says, Glenn, when you get up in the beginning of the day, he said two things to me. He says, everyone before you meet them, forgive them. Forgive them before you meet them. And then every time you see a waiter, always tip them before the end of the meal. And I thought, God, no one ever said that to me before. Some of the rules we have are disconnected from our faith as our fortune. So this is a course about purification. It's a course about allowing your cells, your being, and allowing yourself to receive things in life that you probably heard regularly were impossible. How's it to relate to dogs? Well, I was just realizing the dog is the opportunity that you have this new relationship with life, which I think for many, many people, and this is why I'm excited about the dog mystic, Cherie Marquez, that it's a new beginning to do something very different. That's why I'm a total language fanatic. That's why I say to Cherie, I said, well, I don't even like the word commands. Because I was just thinking in the real world, it sounds so impositional. But I do understand the dog needs.
I corrected myself.
You correct? I'm listening. Yes.
And teaching and teaching and learning and experiencing the connection to learn different techniques. So I did say commands at first, but then
You did.
I
You did. Okay. Well, I'm kind of in this theme of unlearning. I'm in this theme of learning because I want to learn from you, and I want to learn from the dog. So I'm setting an appointment up next week to go see a breeder, and this is what we're going to get into before the end of the show. So before the end of the show, we're going to talk about what are the concerns about breeders, and how would you know the breeder is really encouraging, as Cherie says so well, that the dog could be in their happy home forever. And also that you're actually getting a dog that's being set up so that the dog is feeling safe and has a calm nervous system. So one of the obstacles we need to remove in our relationship to dogs and people is activating their system or putting them in a sympathetic state, a very aggravated nervous system state. Now, Cherie said to me earlier today, there's something that breeders do, that sets the dog up for anxiety and feeling isolation. And if I just want to make sure you guys are done with the cycle, then I wanted to circle back to Dr. Gail Randall too. So how should I do this? Why don't you? I will come back to Gail because we got the next segment is on manifesting miracles, and we can actually bring this whole thing about your faith is a fortune into that. So Cherie, why don't you with Dr. Gail Randall? I love Dr. Gail Randall. She's definitely part of my inside team. By the way, thank you. It sounds almost like a blessing came the way you said that. Dr. Goswami, he's going to be in our next segment on the healing power of homeopathy with Dr. Gloria Kay. I'll welcome Dr. Goswami, and then we'll finish this discussion about the dog getting over excited. We'll finish that up, and then we'll go right to the breeding recommendation. What you were saying earlier today about how dogs they're basically leaving their homes too soon. So let's see. Ariel, did you feel like Cherie answered your question from a mystical, practical place today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think those little extra steps of, working with him mentally before I even leave the house with him, and then outside as well, before actually starting a walk on a leash, would probably be very helpful. Yeah, I'm definitely going to implement it and see how he responds. He's so loving and giving, Belvedere. So he's really willing to work with me.
I don't think my father said as many kind words as you said about Belvedere my whole lifetime with him. You really are very acknowledging about Belvedere. I just want to note that. My father said things. My father said things. I was going to say my father said things like, "You test the patience of a saint," but he said that when he was aggravated. I realized the challenge is that you get around people, right? And they have their separate reality is they don't feel connected to life. They don't have a sense of wonder, and they speak from that reality, and not knowingly they impose it on you. So you start to believe their beliefs, and their beliefs are diseases to begin with. Now, Cherie, why don't you share with us and tell people I'd like to be in touch with the dog mystic Cherie Marquez for consultations, and also we're going to have some upcoming dates, and we're all going to have an amazing feast and get together at two luscious places, including these dog I don't know what you call them, dog temple areas. People bring their dogs. So we'll be announcing dates in specific locations upcoming. How can people be in touch with you, Cherie? Oh, and wait a second. Before you go ahead with the breeding thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead with the breeding. Go ahead with your whole theme that you wanted to share about your warning and a way to get past the warning to doing the correct thing.
Okay. First.
Thank you, by the way, Cherie. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Stay with us if you like, Ariel. You can stay with us.
Sure. Thank you.
So I would love for you to give me a call, and we can talk some more. I can send you videos, and this goes for anyone. If you're interested, I have videos. I have telephone consultations and email. I mean, I'm here to help no matter what. I want to keep dogs in their forever home. My phone number is 954-816-9070. Again, 954.
Can you repeat that again?
Yes, 954.
Yeah.
816.
Yeah.
9070.
Okay. And thank you.
My website is smartpawsdogtraining.com. Smartpawsdogtraining.com. So, there's so many different. For every dog is different, and so every dog needs a certain extra tool or whatever the case is. There's never a dull moment when you are working with animals, because you can't expect. There's no expectations whatsoever. That's the beautiful thing. But I mean, the training is so important because it's the mental stimulation, and what Glenn was talking about, the topic that I just want to bring up is I've had many more this year. I would say within the past 6 months, many more puppies with either severe anxiety issues or like overly aggressive for the puppies. And it at first it was puzzling because it's like, why? I mean, like, usually a dog with separation anxiety, it forms after the dog is, let's say, 6 months to 15 years. I mean, like, you never know, but I mean, like, it usually doesn't happen in a dog that's like, let's say, 3 months old. So what has been happening more lately
in the world of breeders and people that are selling dogs.
Yes, is the breeders are selling them way too young. There is no reason why a breeder should be selling a dog at 6 to 7 weeks old. That dog needs to be with their mother and with their litter mates to learn as much as they can and to be allowed to have that nurturing bond with their mother for as long as possible. So my suggestion to everyone is even if a breeder is pushing you to buy this dog at 7 weeks old, then go to another breeder. There's no reason for it. I mean, even if the mother rejects the puppies for of nursing them, there's still that bond. Yeah. There's still that bond, and they learn so much.
Okay.
So they learn so much, and it's just extremely important. Granted,
Stay with
I would
us.
love
Stay with us.
to rescue dogs.
Stay with us. We're going to come right back, Cherie. You like Precious and Joyous. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Radio Network. A lot of you wondering, what did Dr. Gail Randall think of that last cycle? We're going to hear from Dr. Gail Randall. We're going to talk about the miracle of the day is homeopathy.
Feed your soul with Waves of Consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose. To link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hello, you're listening to the Vibrant Living Radio Network. All around the world, several 100,000, all around the world. So I had the honor 30 years ago to discover homeopathy. So what if I told you, along with Dr. Gloria Kay, Dr. Gail Randall, Cherie Marquez, Ariel, Dr. Swami, who I'm going to introduce you to in a moment. What if I told you medicine was so brilliant and so vitalistic? In other words, this medicine trusted your body. It trusted your body would respond with a vital force response. So vital force response is the body naturally moves in the direction of healing. And imagine if I told you that all you needed to do is take a minute minimalistic dose of the poison in a way that it's so minimalistic it couldn't even be shown. So this medicine had an energy. So, for instance, if you had really bad poison ivy and I said to you, you're going to take a very minute dose of the poison ivy, and it's called rust tox, and your body is going to gently release this. And you're going to become, here's the thing about this medicine, you're going to become more vital. You're going to become more vital. So, for instance, when you were a kid and you had those really bad, you had eczema, and they suppressed it. Right, so a lot of medicine, it's not. What it does is it pushes it down in a way, but that it gets suppressed. So imagine though, if you weren't suppressing it and you let your skin express eczema, and it goes through. It's Hering's law. Your body begins to express through the skin, and it goes through you. And you know, we're conditioned that we're not supposed to have, skin conditions, let's say. But the skin, if you think about illness or the disease, it's a very vitalistic thing that the skin system begins to express and move through your system. So the hidden power, or the power of homeopathy, the hidden power of homeopathy has to do with really, first of all, realizing your body is an ongoing healing temple, and giving the chance that you let it rest, giving the chance that you take sometimes a remedy and a minimalistic dose. So I want to welcome you to Dr. Swami Goswami, who's been a homeopath many, many years. He's worked with people all over the country, the world. And I said at the beginning of the show, Dr. Goswami, I was telling Dr. Gail Randall that I shared with her that you've been working with someone with Lou Gehrig's disease who had trouble swallowing and eating, and it made me really happy to hear. And I was telling Dr. Randall that it sounded like you were saying she was beginning to talk and swallow. And this is nothing to do with taking a strong medication, but a very gentle dose of a remedy. And Gail, is there anything you want to comment on about what I said about homeopathy or vitalistic medicine? Please do. And welcome to Dr. Goswami, by the way. I want to introduce you to Dr. Gail Randall as well.
Oh. Hi, Glenn. Go ahead.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Go ahead, Gail. I just was introducing you and Dr. Goswami because you're kind of like in the same vitalistic boot camp here.
Yeah, well, I'm not an expert, but I do make use of some homeopathic remedies. I found them to be really powerful. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say.
Well, first of all, welcome, Dr. Goswami. You've been a friend, you've been a family member, and as you said so brilliantly the other day, you said it's a point in our relationship. It's okay for you to call me an idiot now and again. I thought that was powerful.
Yes,
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes, I do. Thanks for having me on the show. My name is Dr. Goswami, and I'm a classical homeopathic physician. I have, yes, as Glenn mentioned, I have been treating patients for more than 25 plus years, and I do very classical homeopathy. And as Glenn mentioned, homeopathy has the power to heal, no matter what your condition is, no matter how bad it is. Homeopathy can definitely help. It can heal you from within, so you become healthy in all way around.
Is there anything that you would say that a person who never heard of homeopathy still don't realize what the remedies are? Anything else you would say that make it simpler and easier and would bring it to people? Because, Dr. Gloria K., who works with people all around the world as a long-distance healer, I want to introduce you to her as well, Dr. Goswami. She's very much an advocate.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, you had a conversation, right.
We had a brief conversation earlier.
Yes, we did, and sorry I couldn't call you afterwards because of life. Life happens. Life happens. So yes, Glenn, like I was telling you, like this patient with this Lou Gehrig disease, I just started treating her last month, and she's completely bedridden, needs 24/7 assistance. Her mouth was salivating a lot. She's not able to swallow anything, only a few sips here and there. Talking, she's not able to talk at all, only make some humming sounds. And we just started medication. It's not been even more than 3 weeks, and she's able to swallow. Her salivation completely stopped. Her muscle power is not back yet. Obviously, it's going to take much longer time because of the disease is such that you won't have any nerve and muscle power at this point. But the function are returning, which is a very good sign. Basically, what we are trying to look and see is that she's able to speak few words now. She's swallowing her food. That's amazing. That's like fantastic results I've seen. Quickest result I've seen so far, in such patients. The the point is here, why this is happening with homeopathy and not with other medications is we have to understand and realize homeopathy medicines are nothing but imprints of energy. The energy that you need, that your body needs in order to heal itself. So it may be from different substances. As we know, every element, everything in the universe carries some signature, their own personality, their own energy. And that energy can be harvested in form of medicine and can be used to heal ourselves. Because we and universe are one. There is no difference. Every element in the universe also belongs in us. So we can harvest those energies using homeopathy.
Beautiful. I like that.
I was thinking into that too, Gail. It was very spiritually poetic. It was very beautiful.
Thanks. Thank you. So one way I think the one point is people don't understand is because the way media has portrayed the health sciences is that you only have one choice, which is allopathy medication, and there's not much for homeopathy. But if people are aware that there is a chance for them to get better, I see a lot of kids with allergy problems. Every year you see a lot of kids with allergy, even life-threatening to the food allergies and everything. So all they get is antihistamines and those allergy sources. But every year, if they keep going, nothing gets better. Over the time, all they do is every year they just go take the medication. They keep taking medication all time long. And your body, unfortunately, those are suppressive treatments. So you are attacking the molecules that are releasing things in your body to cause inflammation. And inflammation is your first defense mechanism. If you don't allow it to happen, and sometimes it causes symptoms, I understand that. But causing symptoms are very important, but not to a point where you get affected, but you can also be healed. The way healing happens is you allow the natural mechanism to go through, and you take medication that allows the foreign particle, for example, pollen. Pollen is natural to us. Years around, like centuries back, I don't think people had pollen allergies. It's the most, I think it's from last century or maybe even from this century that this came around. Why? Because we are not exposing ourselves to them slowly. And our body does not realize this is part of our own nature. So with medicine, what it does is it allows the body to understand that it's part of your own nature, so there is no abnormal reaction.
So homeopathy teaches the body, it reminds the body or educates the body about this oneness that we have with the universe. Correct. And that it's such a beautiful way to see medicine.
It is. That is so correct. I mean, if you think of it, see, all our processes in the body, whatever we do, like we as a living organism, we have digestive function, we have excretive function, we have all other functions, respiratory, and then all kind of functions. But behind those functions, behind those normal functions, there is an energy that plays in a role which we call vital force. Primarily, the disease happens to body, although there are viruses and bacteria. Those are also basically living forms which attacks you. And in modern medicine, they say you are sick because you have infection because of this one, because you have viral infection. Yeah. But those viruses are also living things. Those are inimical to our health, obviously, and that's why they affect you. But the point is not the chemical mechanism, not the molecular mechanism that has affected you, which has caused a series of actions and reactions. Yes, that has happened. That is what we see in the lab. But behind that, those inimical forces have transferred their inimical energy to our vital force, which has become deranged. And that derangement has caused the normal energy that functions normal functions to become deranged, and that's why abnormal functions happen. That's why you have sensations. That's why you have fever. That's why you have pain. All these things. And so what homeopathy does is the same energy, anything that is able to cause the similar symptoms. So, for example, you have running nose, cold, cough, all these things. And L.M.C.P.A., which is red onion, which is basically, if you eat a lot of red onions, you have the same kind of symptoms. You have running nose, you have itchy eyes, you have... So basically, this is the part of nature which allows that energy to be healed, which is basically disturbed. So when you take a potency, not the raw form of onion, but medicine prepared from that, which is basically more and more energized, when you take that, that energy gets corrected. When that gets corrected, everything else gets corrected. The function gets corrected.
What I want to do, Dr. Goswami, I want to open this up to the panel, and I want to say in a little bit with Dr. Gloria Kay. Dr. Gloria Kay is going to offer this course. It's going to be on how to really master the art of long-distance healing. And we're going to talk about that today We're going to get some of Dr. Gloria's comments also on homeopathy. Dr. Gail, we got Ariella, we have Cherie, the dog mystic. So I want to do this. So Dr. Goswami, I loved his. I found what he had to say about homeopathy very practical and spiritual and sort of. Just the description itself. You know, I think Albert Einstein said that one of the most powerful questions we could ask is the universe a friendly place to be? And if you're listening to what Dr. Goswami just said, it's like a yes. Because if you get up and think, well, everything's going to destroy me from the chemicals to the pollen, it's not that friendly. So I want to do an open circle, and I want to start with you, Dr. Gloria. Then I want to go to Dr. Gail, Cherie, and Ariella. So,
okay,
Dr. Gloria, so the last thing you said to me is that you said that homeopathy is so powerful, it could help with some things way beyond a lot of other things. As a long-distance healer and healer, what impact do you based on what Dr. Goswami said, and what would you like to share about homeopathy?
Well, I'm not a homeopathic expert. However, I use the cell salts, which seem to be pretty straightforward. So I feel confident. Again, I'm not trained, but the cell salts are so straightforward in their application. I will make recommendations. And, for instance, ferrum phosphate is one of my cell salts, and if I were on a desert island, that would be one of the things that I would want to take with me. But if you take the ferrum phosphate and you don't have and you have remedies that can be pulverized, you can make a little paste and put that on a mosquito bite or a skin blemish. So things like that, I feel okay making a recommendation. I'm not talking about something internal, because homeopathy is very, very powerful. And I would not begin to make recommendations about things that I'm not skilled with.
So cell salts were another non-invasive system developed by another doctor that was. It's Dr. Goswami. Is cell salts considered a branch of homeopathy, or would they be considered their own? Okay, they are.
No, okay. They are. They are.
Not,
yes,
they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, again, my disclaimer is I'm not an expert, but I do understand cell salts.
Right.
And they're pretty straightforward. So in terms of my remote healing, if I sense that someone would benefit by ingesting one of the cell salts, I would make that recommendation. However, all recommendations that I make about ingesting anything first test with my pendulum. So I might have an idea that this is going to work, and then I use my pendulum to verify my idea. So that's it. And I adore homeopathy. I think it's one of the most powerful interventions possible. I do. And I think I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to, go ahead. Matter, give out your website too, Dr. Gloria.
I will do that, but I do want to make the point that it's important to have a really skilled homeopathic practitioner, really skilled, because it's a vast subject, and it takes years and years and years of study. So that's my comment. I certainly am delighted to be having this conversation, and my website is drgloria, KAYE.com. It's just my name, and it's really easy to find. So drgloriak.com.
If you've ever wondered about long-distance healing, the reality of it, what it could do, and why Dr. Gloria actually says that in her experience, long-distance healing it could often be more powerful than even in person, and you wanted to be a long-distance healer yourself, you wanted to at least have an education so you could help your family members and yourself. Stay tuned. We're going to get into mastering and becoming the art of mastering and long-distance healing. What is it? Can you feel it? With someone who's been practicing a long time. This is our segment called Mastering Miracles and Mastering the Miraculous. Because sometimes we don't get this education at all. You pretty much, your parents say, well, take an aspirin or they tell you that it's flu season, right? It's almost like we have thought viruses that are so strong we don't consider. So part of the Vibrant Living Formula is to become free of these thought viruses to begin a new life. Dr. Gail Randall's got this wonderful Instagram. I'll have her give that out, give her a website. I wanted Gail for you to – I thought we both had a spiritual treatment. I just thought it was – my parents pulled me aside when I was in high school. I don't know about you growing up, Dr. Gail, but when I grew up, how I woke up was I heard my father clearing his throat many, many times in the morning. And before I left, he would take about 6 Dristan, decongestants. And then when I came home, he often had a sinus mask on. I asked my mother one day, I said, why does he need a sinus mask? And she said, well, what did she say to me? It was normal. That was something like that. That's just reality, right? That's just reality. And then when he started taking tranquilizers, that's just reality. So I was in a magazine store, and I read my first article on sugar, and no one ever told me there was concerns about sugar. So here you are, you've been in practice 40 years, and you heard this description of homeopathy. I just thought, wow, imagine if we had that education about our bodies, that we're part of the universe, there's frequencies that we could take that make corrections, they're not toxic. I just thought it's such a beautiful, and Hahnemann, the founder, the pharmacist, medical doctor, says we must remove obstacles. Right? This idea of removing obstacles, and of course I see a lot of relational brilliance, because in relationships, in fact, I'll say this, I want you guys to write this down, the poison in your relationship is your greatest doorway to the most loving, wondrous relationship. Just allow it to be at a minimal dose. It's not the enemy, it's a doorway. So what we do, I think, in our culture, it's like a very homogenized, processed, domesticated culture. We want to spray it, burn it, get rid of it, rather than allow it and let it have some medicinal. Now, with the exception being, I think the exception is acute medicine, broken leg, right? There's different things where you could say modern medicine. All right, Gail, and don't forget, Dr. Gail, to give out your website and your wonderful Instagram where you make all kinds of, you let your spontaneous wisdom flow, and we're going to be teaching together. Your faith is your fortune, and I'm going to come to L.A. I haven't flown in a while. I'm going to come there to teach with Dr. Gail. So I want to get your response.
I think what Gloria, Dr. Botswani,
yes.
and myself have in common
yes.
is we all respect spiritual medicine. He said himself, homeopathy is a spiritual imprint. In the way that I was taught about it, although I'm certainly not an expert, I have learned many, many disciplines in my 40 years, and what I learned is it actually works on a very spiritual or vibrational level. And, of course, training with Native Americans from, early adulthood and spending so much time with shamans, I learned about spirit. I learned about that there's spirit in everything. There's spirit in every herb that we use, and there's spirit even in stones. And I learned from Ayurvedic teachers who work with minerals and things, and they always consider the spiritual aspect as well as the body type when they apply their therapies. So I have very much respect for what he does and the vibrational type of medicine, which can be applied in many different ways. It can be applied, thinking of in spirit and that way through even prayer. But homeopathy is very specific and very tuned in on a level that I respect for. So thank you for what you shared with us, Doctor.
Hey, how you doing?
I'll come see you. I'm just finishing my show.
That the other day.
That's true. I'm going to come see you. My neighbor came. That's my neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's my neighbor. My neighbor. I got to tell you something. My neighbor, he wants me to should I let the audience have something very intimate? What do you think, Gail? Should I say to somebody in the audience that's sort of like, personal?
Your call.
It's my call. Shucks, I wanted the doctor to tell me. See that? I deferred to the doctor in the house. There's 2 doctors in the house. I guess 3 doctors in the house. We got Cherie and Ariella. All right. What was I going to say to you guys? Please give out your contact and thank you.
The website is DRG, like God, M like Mother, Randall, DRGM Randall. My Instagram is Dr. Gail Randall, and my Facebook is Dr. Gail Space Randall. So they're easy.
my co-teacher in Your Faith is Your Fortune and the Vibrant Living Challenge, and my inside doctor. I'm inside doctor. I never had a doctor like Dr. Gail Randall. I want to say, Gail, yes.
Sure, but you can let us respond.
Oh, go ahead and respond. Go ahead and respond, please.
When you first called me, you were in a great deal of fear. I think it's Yogananda that says something like, while attempting healing, one often concentrates more on the gripping power of the disease rather than on the possibility of permitting wellness or healing to enter, and it's a definite obstruction to healing. I say fear drives the illness further in the body. Letting go of fear is what makes room for healing. So when you let go of that fear and you realize it's just your own energy you're projecting out there, so the worse you feel it, you realize it's just a wave of energy you've shot out there. It's like a tsunami coming back on you. So if you can suck it back, you've got all that power to, proceed with healing, and it allows the healing to come in. If you keep that fear, what if, I tell people to bring back the what ifs, realize that's just your own power, and remove the fear, have trust in your body. You will heal.
That is so true.
And it's also important to have that healing. I mean, the fear can be transmitted to the animals. So if the animals are sick and the people are totally fearful of, oh my gosh, and what am I going to do? So it's having the faith that you will find a cure for whatever is happening to your animal. So you're passing on amazing energy to the animal and positive energies that I believe that you're going to heal. I believe that you're going to survive with us and in this lifetime for as long as possible. And that's the beautiful thing about homeopathy is people are becoming more aware. So they're doing just as much for their animals as they are for themselves. So
that is so true.
It works for animals, and it's just extremely important instead of loading.
That's the beauty of it, because animals don't have a secondary gain. And when you see something like a homeopathic remedy work for them, or even acupuncture, you know these things are real, right? You see them.
Yes, actually, let me add to that, if I may. Homeopathy works best on animals. Homeopathy works best on animals because they are in a very uncompensated state. They will behave and show what they are feeling. Unlike humans, we would mask our feelings and we would not show it. But animals are as they are. That's why we see their true self, and that's why medicine works wonderfully on them.
Yes, their true self. They have no barriers. Yes. Their true self.
Correct, no barriers. That is so true.
Yes. Yes.
Well, the audience wants another ethnic, diverse voice. So, Ariel, we're going to call on you because you have an ethnically distinct voice.
Well, thank you. So, it's wonderful. To respond about the homeopathics, and I grew up in the Netherlands and started my journey to health and wellness when I was 12 years old. And basically, my main book was the book of Dr. Vogel, which is all about natural living and homeopathics. That became really my Bible. So I started in my teens with using homeopathics, and I actually wanted to become a homeopath. But you have to have a certain level of high school. There's like 4 different levels of high school in the Netherlands, and I didn't have the right level. So I couldn't really go to that school or naturopathic school. So I started my journey in macrobiotics and other modalities, but I have always used homeopathics in my life. To this day, I was feeling a bit under the weather a few days ago, so I got some over-the-counter mix that always seemed to work for me, and I am a certified health and wellness coach, and I'm 60 now, so it's been a long journey, but I've always recommended for people to look at homeopathics. Like Dr. Gill said, I don't really prescribe them since I'm not as versed as the homeopathic doctor here, Dr. Swami. So, but I will recommend them for sure, and recommend a practitioner to my client, or if I know of a very simple one for a certain, we
should give out Dr. Goswami's website. I realize right now because there's a whole bunch of people out there driving and saying, "What's his website?"
Yeah.
Give out your website, please.
Yes, sure. My website is Dynamic Homeopath. That's DYNAMICHOMEOPATH.com. And all my information, including my studies, my education about homeopathy, is on that. And I do even long distance too, because this patient I'm talking about, this Lou Gehrig's, she is in Georgia. I've only seen her on video and after the treatment, and it's wonderful result that I'm getting, which is amazing. And I have many more cases. Sometime in future we will talk about it on the show. Sometime.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. And then the only person that I think knows how. Oh boy, I don't want to put down people as spellers, but Cherie's really come through as a very good speller. Would you please spell your website one more time and give it out one more time?
Sure. It's Dynamic Homeopath. It's DYNAMICHOMEOPATH.com.
All right. And by the way, Cherie, the dog mystic, I've acknowledged you at least 3 times today being a masterful speller. You should have a homeopathic effect and actually become a better speller by next week. I'm going to say that. To the energetic encouragement. Yeah. You're probably smarter right this second. All right. I want you guys to play the panel. And the panel game we're going to play today is we'll play everything I always wanted to know about long-distance healing, but no one ever told me about it. No one. So this is a book and a course with Dr. Gail. Well, Dr. Gail Randall, funny enough, is a long-distance healer too. But Dr. Gloria Kay has been doing this for a long, I would say 40 years, a long time. So I was curious from the panel, Dr. Goswami, Ariella, Cherie, Dr. Randall. I want you guys to ask, I want you to have an open question on this phenomenon called long-distance healing, long-distance energy healing, and we'll continue with the Vibrant Living Network. And, that's right, Manifesting Miracles with Dr. Gloria Kay in a moment.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from New Thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks, and you're listening to Manifesting Miracles along with Dr. Gloria Kay, who many people know is a very advanced long-distance healer. She works with people from Kenya to Greece to anywhere in the world, really. And so the open panel discussion with Dr. Goswami, Dr. Gil Randall, Dr. Gloria Kay, Cherie, the dog mystic, Ariel. I want you guys to. I'm curious what your take is on long distance healing. We're putting a mastery course together for people, 20 people, and we're going to get really in the depth of this. And I think it's going to be heroic and one of a kind. And so the curiosity is deeply welcome. I need to read this to you guys. I need to share this. It's part of our mission. We are going to the Carnegie Hall in 8 months. It looks like 11 speakers. And if you're interested in speaking at Carnegie Hall in this one-of-a-kind training, this one-of-a-kind course, that includes all kinds of wondrous things, fully speaking from your body, from your intuition, owning the stage, speaking to the soul of the audience, being at Carnegie Hall and have your presentation filmed, and meeting some of the most amazing people on earth. I want to invite you guys to join the Vibrant Speaker Training targeted to our 2 nights in a row at Carnegie Hall. If you're interested, you can call me directly. This is going to be a 6.5-month training, and I'm at 413-345. You could read more about it as well on OMTimes magazine with Janet Carafa, also Dr. Gil Randall's article on demystifying or breaking the spell or the curse of your diagnosis on OMTimes magazine. So my number is 413-345-3747, 413-345-3747. And if this speaks to you, speak to us. Okay, panel discussion, Gloria. Let's pick on someone who wants to make the. So this course, the purpose of the course with Dr. Gloria Kay, is to put you in touch with the specific ways to implement long-distance healing in your life as a practitioner, for your family members. The basic awareness that we impact and we can have a healing influence on people. In some cases, we can help eradicate their symptoms. So this is all the stuff that probably you didn't get educated in school or anybody in your family. And if you're a practitioner or you're someone who wants to advance your skills, we're opening up to 20 people on the mastery and art of long-distance healing with Dr. Gloria Kay. And I'll be designing some of the course, so you could call me about the course as well with Dr. Gloria Kay. All right, open panel discussion, long-distance healing. Should we just do an open panel thing?
So I just want to, real quick, I just want to say goodbye. I'm off to some dog training appointments, but I want to wish everyone a wonderful day and a fabulous weekend. And Cherie Marquez, the dog mystic, Smart Paws Dog Training. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. You sound like a better fellow right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cherie. Thank you, Cherie.
Glenn,
just,
can I?
Yes.
You had.
Yes, sir. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cherie, go ahead.
Just want to end it with, if you are getting a dog, don't buy the dog before 8 months old. So 8 months.
8 months. Okay.
8 weeks. Sorry.
I was going to say you. Okay. Thank you, Cherie. Thank you, the dog mystic. Thank you.
And older is the healthy way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Glenn, regarding
Dr. Goswami.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Take care. Have a good. Yes.
Blessings.
So regarding
Bye,
this
Cherie.
long distance, there's one more
Healing.
thing I probably about long distance healing.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I think probably you may know, and Dr. Gloria Kay may also know, is in homeopathy we actually can treat patient from sample of the part of the body, for example, a drop of blood. So it is saved on a tissue paper with a name on it, and there is a science called radionics, which is in probably Dr. Gloria Kay must have heard that. So you can actually send medicine through this machine called radionics and heal the people long distance too. So no matter what complaint they have, you are able to treat them from your own home or from your own office, even though they are world apart.
Wow. So I'll put this question to you and also mainly to Gloria. So by virtue of your course, I mean, we know that it works. I mean, I've experienced it. I know that it works. But how do you think it works? And have you ever done it on someone that didn't know that you were doing it on them? And what were the results on that?
Well, there are many ethical issues, and I insist upon having permission from the individual that needs help.
Sure, I
the
understand that.
exceptions would be the elderly or an animal that's in jeopardy. But
yeah, have you ever had that?
To do an animal.
I'm asking for a reason because we know that the placebo effect is huge, and it's not just a placebo. It actually causes neurochemical changes in the person's body. It even changes their endocannabinoid tone and changes neurotransmitters and everything. It's a huge deal. So if someone or some person, say an elderly person or a pet, couldn't say, and you had an effect, I was just curious about that.
So you're asking me if I've worked on someone who had special needs and wasn't able to give permission.
Yeah, and what was the outcome? Yes.
Let me just think about that for a moment. It's been so long since that has come up. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, it's okay. I was just curious because it would speak volumes, just in terms of, or even with an animal,
Yeah. So let me just think now for an animal. I can tell you this. So having permission to work on a horse from the owner is essential. Now, that would be for the first healing. But if there's subsequent healings, I would expect that notion of permission is still in effect. So in that case, you could say that, I'm working on a horse that doesn't have knowledge, or the horse may never have knowledge. I generally request, if I'm going to do hands-on, that the horse be cross-tied, but if I'm doing it remotely, I just get a picture. I get an image of what's going on in the body, and then I heal from the image that I see. So I don't know if that answers your question, but in terms of the course, a lot of the course will be teaching people how to see. And then I also will be using a pendulum, the field of radionics, to make discriminations about what is necessary for that individual. So the course, not to exaggerate the possibilities, I'm going to be teaching how to look for imbalances, and we'll be working mainly with the neck. And the neck is really a key to many issues in the body. And to do more than that at this time feels like an irresponsible thing. So I will be focusing on the neck, teaching people how to see imbalances in the neck. I'll be asking questions like, how is the head placed on the neck? Is the curve at the shoulder different from left to right side? So I'm going to be teaching people how to look at differences and to determine those differences. So a lot of time will be spent looking. And I'm going to ask people to use photographs, or they can actually look in the mirror if they'd like. But it's essential initially to get this sense of balance and how to create balance and how to identify imbalances. So that's a really, really big issue. And I would be spending quite a bit of time on that. And from the neck, I would go to the head, and this is fairly easy to see, but the imbalances in the face, is one eyebrow arched differently than the other? Is the focus, how different would the focus of the eyes be? What's going on in the chin and the jaw, and looking at the differences left to right. So I don't want to make any great claims about this course, but you will learn how to see. And then once you learn how to see, I will help you make these corrections. And normally, I do a sketch of what it is that I'm seeing in my mind's eye. So after we go from the photograph or the mirror or whatever it is, I will be asking students to put that away and continue to work with the image, but not to have a photograph, but just whatever's in the mind's eye. And so it's just going to be a very carefully crafted course on how to see and then how to make changes in what it is that you're seeing. So a couple of tips. Generally, it's going to the higher side because I believe that the higher side has an over energy and the lower side, and I'm talking about structure, has a deficit. So when you are able to move energy from the higher side to the lower side, a lot of corrections take place. And that's it. We're going to be very gentle and approach it with care. So I've taught this before, and people are amazed that it's easy to use a pendulum and it's easy to make these corrections. The other thing that's very, very important is to keep the ego out of this. So even though you're acting as the conduit, it's not you. So we're talking about a spiritual intervention. We're talking about a higher power. And at best, the student is acting as a conduit. So I hope that begins to answer some of the questions about what will be in the course.
Dr. Gloria, why don't you give out your website? And we're going to have a write-up for this course, which is called Mastering the Art of Long-Distance Healing with Dr. Gloria Kay. And maybe we'll put a couple of stories in there and get into some of the, I would call it the heroic mindset. Like what is the mindset of a healer? But go ahead, give out the website, please.
It's drgloria, KAYE.com.
You know, I want to bring something up as it relates to homeopathy and osteopathy, and to some extent chiropractic, and get as we talk about long-distance healing. So at the beginning of the century, homeopathy was in the hospitals. Matter of fact, I don't live far from the Brattleboro Retreat here in Vermont, and the psychiatrists regularly used homeopathy and had apparently a miraculous impact on mental illness. Now, in the old days when there was osteopathic hospitals, manipulation was actually in the hospitals. And Dr. I forgot his name. He actually he could feel the waves in the skull, the cranial waves. And he developed something called cranial osteopathy. And some of the homeopaths, because of the politics of the time and the hospitals are moving more in the direction of a more mechanistic approach, we started to get away from homeopathy and osteopathy. Well, osteopathy, and the cranial work particularly, until Dr. Fulford. Dr. Fulford passed away a little over 100 years old, and he wrote this book. And one of the things that was incredible about this book is he was saying that all the antibiotics they're prescribing, for example, ear infections and sinuses, could be remedied with these simple cranial osteopathy. And I had Dr. Andrew Weil on the program on Vibrant Living, and he was addressing that. What's happened is the more we've gotten away from this energetic, kind of more spiritual mind medicine approach to medicine, it's sort of really fragmented. And I think people started to, because the availability and the conversation sort of left, and it became very fragmented. And so it's very inspiring to hear about kind of owning this medicine again, rather than we've kind of given this medicine away to pharmaceuticals and kind of big pharma, big medicine. And we have on one level, we have a lot of people taking very dangerous suppressive medications that cause secondary illnesses or secondary symptoms. So it's a beautiful thing. We're talking about long distance healing, and also just at the body. Like, I've had cranial work, and it's just so amazing. I remember I got work done in the evening once, and it was almost like the rest of that night when I went to sleep, I could feel this incredible wave of, like an ocean wave, a very gentle wave, go between the base of my spine through my whole body. So I think another opportunity of this conversation is, which I want the panel members to answer, what is this big definition of health? When I did a series with Dr. Richard Moss called The Ultimate Hospital. And one of the big questions on a series on the Ultimate Hospital, what is big health? What is big vitalness? So Dr. Goswami, from a homeopathic... Yes.
Yes, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you from a homeopathic point of view, what is big health or big vitality? When a person's in the highest state of health, what does it mean?
Basically means well-being, as we know. Like it's not absence of symptoms. It's basically you being well-being. Basically, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, but also spiritually. This is very, very important. The last part is the most important one, because we are, like you said, in the first time. Now the pharmaceutical companies are more about pushing drugs and this thing. What we are doing is we are separating energy and the matter from like each other. You're only paying attention to matter by pushing the drugs. Energy and matter are not separate. They are one and the same. So unless and until we see the combination, we see the integration between these two, we are going in a different direction. If you're only paying attention to the materialism or only the matter and saying this is what is wrong with you, that's totally wrong. You're not identifying the real process behind it. And I think that's why this wholeness of the vitalness, because everything is controlled by energy. See, living in a dead body, what is the difference? The chemical composition is same, everything is same, the organs are same, everything is same, right? But it's not alive because there is no energy in it. So what would keep your body alive is the energy inside it. The soul is, yes, the soul is the ultimate form of energy, but your body derives energy from the soul through different chakras in your spine, which flows into your body. And something along the way goes wrong in transmission of energy or the process of the flow of energy, and that's why things go wrong. That's why the subluxation, the manipulation, the chiropractor does sometimes, the osteopath does. Those are very, very important because it corrects at least the posture part of it. But when it comes to the actual disease process where you think something is wrong, the whole, like, not just, I'm not talking about simple disease, but like cancer. Yeah. By the time that has happened, a lot of things has happened in your body. A lot of things have gone wrong in your body that has led to this stage where we call cancer or immune problems and stuff like that. So to correct that, it's a longer process, no doubt about it. But again, identifying where it started, how it started, going back in the journey of a patient is very important to understand how things are. And when you find out, the treatment is very easy because you know the cause. And it's very easy to treat at that particular time.
Thank you.
Glenn, I have to leave.
You got to go. Listen, I really appreciate you being able to.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Goswami.
And everybody else.
Thank you.
Thank you again. It was a pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Swami.
Blessing.
Yes,
thanks. And thank you. All right,
thank
keep
you.
in touch.
I'll talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you,
Take care,
Dr.
everybody.
Swami.
And have a good
Take
day.
care.
Bye-bye. Take care.
So I thought I'd ask the same question for Dr. Gail Randall. So, what happens is we get so I was going to do a segment today on taking a stand for each other. And what I mean by that is we got this thing called the Vibrant Living Challenge, which we incorporate your faith is your fortune. So taking a stand is basically standing for someone's, not just their highest vision of themselves, but often a vision they haven't even seen of themselves. So the highest level of health or vitalness is a person moving and breathing and having vitality in ways they couldn't even imagine. So from that perspective, Dr. Randall, what would you say if you had to make another definition for this high standard to inspire into, and it was posted on the front door of your office? What would your definition be for big vital, like big health, huge health? What's that definition that you see people you want them to step into immediately?
You set me up there. Of course,
thank you.
Be vibrant.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Oh my God, that's why you're such a great great team member. Your language, your astuteness. Thank you.
So a lot of times I say, stop on in for a healthier, happier you, but vibrant is a great word.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you a question. When you grew up, and I'm really curious because I was surprised. I had a doctor visit me, and I told you this. When she was around me, she's very brilliant, but she was worried about her health a lot. And so I was curious, from your perspective, when I put a seminar together called Beyond Holistic Health with Dr. Paul Botter, who was a surgeon. And one of the things that Paul told us in the class, I want to get your experience as being a medical, or Gloria, if you have something to share around this, or Ariana. So he said to us during the class when he was a kid, when he was about 8 years old, he fell out of a tree and he broke his arm. And he said he noticed it. It didn't bother him that much. He said it wasn't until he went back to the house and his uncle, who was a doctor, saw it and just totally freaked out. And he said that was his first time in life he felt separateness from God. He realized in that moment it was a world of illness and separation. And the solution subconsciously, I got to become a doctor. And then he spent the first 20 years battling illness and battling disease. He went on to become a homeopath. He was very close with me. And so his thing about becoming a doctor came from this trauma. What moved you in your own life to want to move in this direction? I think you told me you first were awake when you were like a month to 5 months. You very early on, you came in pretty awake. So when did you, from that awakeness, what's that?
I was awake in utero.
Okay, you awake in utero. That's a good book title. I like that. That's a new T-shirt. I want to wear that. So when you're awake in utero, how did it unfold? Tell us how you became a doctor. Was it from that spark?
No, it wasn't. I always I could hear sort of what people thought. And so it was a bit of a process for me to learn how to retain that talent and not be in trouble or not extinguish it also, because I knew that it was important.
Call.
It gave me an extra understanding and an extra empathy and compassion, I believe, and early on I would heal. I had every animal you could imagine. I would find little broken birds and rabbits and and frogs and all kinds of animals, and I would put them in my little and I would heal them and I would re-release them into nature. So I had I was a healer really early on, and initially I thought I would be a healer of animals, which I am in a way, but when it finally got down to it, I applied to vet school, and I also applied to medical school. And getting into vet school is much more competitive, actually. I got into vet school, but I decided that people needed my help more than animals did, that animals weren't as needy as people were. So that's why I chose people.
Beautiful, Dr. Al. Thank you. And Gloria, I realize on the course description, the art of mastering long distance healing with Dr. Gloria K. What's your definition of the highest health? What's for the students of the course, for the practitioners in the course, for the doctors in the course? What is the big vision of big, vibrant health?
Well, I think it's an ongoing process, and I think that it's necessary. This is personally and professionally. I think that no one actually arrives at a space of vibrant health. It's always moving toward vibrant health, and there's always refinement. Now, I don't know if this has to do with having been a yoga practitioner for 60 years. It's never finished. It's never finished. It gets refined, and we integrate this refinement, and then we're ready to refine further. So my answer to you, Glenn, would be there's no arrival time. Vibrant health is an ongoing commitment, and it's an ongoing process. I'm not sure that's what you wanted to hear, but that's what I believe in my heart of hearts.
That's what my mother said to me often, that particular line. I'm not sure you want to hear that. She would say that to me. Yeah, that's my. Right. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network, and this is Mastering Miracles with Dr. Gloria K. We're going to get into that on the course, too, Mastering the Art of Long Distance. We'll get into what is a miracle? Does it exist? How can we make ourselves more prone? And how do we get out of the, as I like to say, the terminal normality mindset? How can we go beyond our linear thinking so, in a sense, we could be in harmony? One of the things that Dr. Randall just said was so beautiful is that she sort of was in harmony Like no one took her side and kind of messed her up with her linear thinking. She just kind of went with this. Very similar, by the way, Dr. Randall, to Mario Andretti when I had the moment of my life during the exchange, during the section we did on the high performance mind. I said, what was the most significant thing in your journey to being the world's best race car driver? And he said, Glenn, he goes, I never lined my ducks up in a row. That comment has rung with me through the years. He didn't line his ducks up in a row. He played, he explored, and he let the sense of wonder that he brought to racing, right? And so for you, it sounds you had this sense, Dr. Randall, of wonder and moving with the wonder. That's pretty beautiful. I mean, you didn't. As I want to say, the best educator I've ever been around was John Gatto, wrote Dumbing Us Down. He won Teacher of the Year award. And I had the honor of spending a weekend with him. I saw superintendents of schools running to the class. And John just had this perspective that there was no one he couldn't teach. There's no one he couldn't turn on. And it was so all around him. Your life's precious. Enjoy it. Dr. Randall, Dr. Gloria Kay, Ariel, our new person who speaks such great. Is it a European? It's the European Amsterdam accent. It's great. I love it. Cherie Rogers. So I thank you. Cherie Rogers. Cherie Marquez. You guys, the wisdom and the vibrancy in you is what allows this thing to keep moving. Thank you for being part of the Vibrant Living Network. Thank my good friends at OMTimes Radio, Chris, and all the people. Thank you. Blessings. Your life's precious. Enjoy.
And goodbye to everyone.
Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.